Hello, my friends of the universe and the earth. How are you today? Hope you all doing well. We are here to tell a really unique story, historical family, and what happened to them. We're gonna go on location, go for a little drive. We're gonna try and beat the storm that is coming, but it's nice today. It's not too cold, it's not too hot, it's just right. So let's go and we'll tell you a story. Hello, my fellow friends, my rock stars, those who love stories from history and show respect and tribute to those gone before, tales from beyond. This tale of a distinguished family built their wealth and pioneer history from the ground up. Adolf Hermann Coors was born in Rhenish, Prussia, February 4th, 1847. The son of Joseph Coors, 1820 to 1862, and Helena Heim, 1820 to 1862, he became an apprentice at 13 years old to a stationery and bookstore from 1860 to 1862, whereas his mother died on April 2nd, 1862. They moved to Dortmund, Westphalia, and July 1862, Adolf was an apprentice to the Henry Venker Brewery in Dortmund, being charged for his apprenticeship, and his bookkeeping helped pay for it. November 24th, 1862, Adolf's father died. As an orphan, Adolf completed his apprenticeship and continued to work as a paid employee at the Venker Brewery until May 1867. After that, to work at breweries in Kassel, Berlin, and Ulsan, Germany. In early 1868, Adolf stowed away to the U.S., and the family never spoke of his undocumented trip until his son's death in 1970. He sailed from Hamburg to New York City, moving to Chicago. His last name changed from Kuhrs to Coors, Coors, arriving to Chicago May 30th, 1868. In the spring, he was a laborer. In the summer, a brewer. Fall and winter, a fireman, loading coal into the firebox of a steam engine. In spring and summer of 1869, he became an apprentice bricklayer and a stonecutter to become a foreman of Stanger's Brewery on August 11th, 1869, of Naperville, Illinois, 35 miles west of Chicago. Adolf resigned from Stanger's Brewery on January 22nd, 1872, and moved to Denver April of that year. He worked as a gardener for a month. On May 1st, 1872, he purchased a partnership in the bottling firm of John Staderman. Then, soon, he assumed control of the entire business. On November 14, 1873, along with Denver confectioner Jacob Schuler, they purchased the London Golden City Tannery and converted the building as a brewery. By February 1874, they produced beer for sale, and thereby, 1880, Adolf bought the business and renamed the brewery Adolf Coors Golden Brewery. On April 12, 1879, Adolf Coors married Louisa Weber, daughter of the superintendent of the Denver Rio Grande Railroad. They were married on the Coors Brewery grounds. They raised 3 sons and 3 daughters, and 2 children only living to infancy. The firstborn was Louise, She was born on March 2nd, 1880, and nicknamed Lulu. Their second born was Augusta, born 1881, and they nicknamed her Gussie. Adolf Coors Jr. was born January 12, 1884. Bertha Coors, June 24, 1886. Grover Cleveland Coors, 1888. And lastly, Herman Frederick Coors, July 24, 1890, while on vacation in Berlin, Germany. When Prohibition began in 1916, he converted the brewery to produce malted milk, also to manufacture porcelain and ceramic products from clay mined in Golden. An avid businessman, an entrepreneur, becoming quite wealthy, as with comes the downfalls of wealth and stigma, to be laden with tragedy. On June 5, 1929, Adolf Coors fell or leapt off the 6th floor window of the Cavalier Hotel in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Adolf Coors Jr. became president of Coors, producing also porcelain and in 1960 missile cones. In 1934, there was an attempt on his life by a Paul Robert Lane, a former state prohibition agent, along with 3 other men, to conspire to take Coors and hold him for ransom of $50,000. But the police foiled the plan by arresting Lane before the crime would occur. Soon his son, Adolf Herman Coors III, would take over appointments at the brewery. On the morning of February 9th, 1960, as was his daily schedule, he got into his station wagon and drove the 12 miles to the Coors brewery. He had left at 8 a.m., but never arrived to the brewery. A milkman found the station wagon on the one-way Turkey Creek Bridge, still running, and the radio playing. Investigators arrived and found his glasses lens, 2 hats in the creek, and a dark stain in the dirt by his car. The sheriff reported and all points a bulletin for him. People had noticed hearing possibly a gunshot in the area, but no one reported seeing him. The next morning, his wife, Mary, received a typed letter in the mail. It read, Mrs. Coors, your husband has been kidnapped. His car is at Turkey Creek. Call the police or FBI, and he dies. Cooperate. He lives. The criminal wanted $500,000 for his return. She was told later she would be told what would happen next, but to pay quickly. The letter wasn't signed. The family got the money together, and they waited. They never got another phone call. After the famous Lindbergh abduction crime, the U.S. government made kidnapping a federal crime. For this, the FBI took over the case. The 44-year-old father of four's case was studied for clues. The letters searched over, dusted for fingerprints. Nothing was found except that the typist was a professional. No mistakes in the document. The typeset was that of a Swiss firm called Seatag. 2 companies, one in Holland and one in Switzerland. A typewriter called a Royal Light typewriter was used. Non-portable, easy to find, and many were sold. But a tiny defect was noticed. The letter S was lower than the other letters. A man was one of the leads to be investigated. He remembered a sedan parked by the bridge, giving police a description and partial license plate number. The man was found to have a car with that description, who had moved out of his apartment the day after the crime. They dusted for fingerprints and found the prints of a convicted criminal, 31-year-old Joseph Corbett. They also found leg and wrist restraints. Corbett worked for the Benjamin Moore Paint Company. After the Coors crime, he quit the job. They didn't hear from him again. They did find he had escaped from a minimum prison, and he was a model prisoner. Someone at the rooming house remembers him typing late at night, a typewriter he had bought from Madian F. in Denver. The clerk recognized him and remembered he paid cash for the typewriter 4 months prior to the crime. Corbett's sedan was found in New Jersey, doused with gasoline and burning. The engine block number registered to a Walter Osborne, an alias used by Corbett. Soil samples found linked it to the Turkey Creek Bridge in Pikes Peak region, whereas 8 months after they found Adolf Coors III remains, shot in the back. Now they had to find Corbett. President Hoover named him the most wanted man in America. Planning the crime for months, studying the route, when was best to make his move, type the letter and send it, and put his supplies in the car, and then travel to the secluded Turkey Creek Bridge and wait. He placed his car on the bridge, acting like it broke down. Coors stopped to help, and a fight ensued. Coors got away, ran to his car, and was shot in the back. Corbett panicked and had to ditch the plan of the letter he had sent to Coors' wife. He drove 45 minutes to the Rocky Mountains near Pikes Peak to leave the body, and then drove to New Jersey to burn the car. For 7 months, he eluded police, running to Vancouver, Canada. Then a woman called police to report a man matching a description living in her apartment building. The FBI went to his room, and he surrendered. He said, "I'm your man." He pleaded not guilty, but with the evidence, he got life in prison, one of the most notorious crimes in Colorado. On March 29, 1961, Corbett was convicted and sentenced to life, yet paroled on December 12, 1980. He took his own life August 24, 2009. A man who had committed 2 serious fatal crimes and was paroled. At the time of Adolf Hermann Coors III's death, he was an avid skier and inducted into the Colorado Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame in 1998, helping to found the Aspen Ski Corporation in 1946, and was on the board of directors. He was cremated and scattered on his favorite mountain, Aspen Mountain. His mother, Alice May Kistler Coors, November 19, 1884 to November 8, 1970, aged 85, supervised the Coors gardens of fresh flowers and plants placed daily in public areas of the Coors Brewery. His only child died of cancer at 26 years old in 1968 and is buried at Fairmount Cemetery. His wife, Mary Your Heart Grant Coors, passed in 1975, aged 60, from a fall, and laid to rest by her daughter. Here we have come to pay tribute to the beautiful and unique monument of the pioneering Coors family. Here we have Louise Coors Porter, 1880 to 1964. And Augusta Coors Colbrand, 1881 to 1963. Adolf Coors, 1847 to 1929. And Louise Weber Coors, 1861 to 1941. Bertha Coors Monroe, 1886 to 1960. After the abduction crime, the Coors family held chairmanship until July 22, 2004. The Adolf Coors Company and Molson Incorporated announced their plans to merge. Thank you for joining me on this dynamic tale of the Coors family, still in business today, 150 years later, after founding the brewery. Stay tuned for more tales to come and more unique and harrowing adventures. Please like and subscribe. Helps me on my journalism journey. See you soon. Here we go.